Welcome. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Quacks of Quedlinburg. This is a 2 to 4 player bag building push your luck game where you take the role of doctors or quacks in the city of Quedlinburg, showcasing their healing potion. You will be drawing ingredients, buying ingredients, trying to become the most successful doctor or quack. How do you become the most successful quack in Quedlinburg and win the game? By having the most victory points at the end of the 9th turn or round. Now that we know what the winning condition is, let's take a look at the components, setup, and how gameplay works in the Quacks of Quedlinburg. Now let's take a look at the components. You have your main board, ingredient books, ingredient chips, rubies, die, turn marker flame, fortune cards. In each player color, you have a player board or pot, flask tile, scoring marker, droplet markers, rat marker, seal tile, bags, almanac, and rulebook. Now let's take a look at the setup. We're going to be setting this up for a 3-player game which takes 5 steps. Step 1, place the main board in the center of the play area. Step 2, shuffle and place fortune cards. Shuffle the fortune cards and place them face down next to the main board. Step 3, place turn marker, die, and rubies. Place the turn marker on 1 and the rubies and die next to the main board. Step 4, determine and place ingredients. You're going to place the orange book next to the main board. Then choose the side of the black book based on the number of players. This is marked in the bottom left corner. You're going to place this book next to the orange book. Then you're going to choose a set of books for green, blue, red, yellow, and purple. Sets are indicated by the number of bookmarks. It is recommended for the first game that you use set 1 or 1 bookmark. Then you'll place them next to the other books and the chips next to the corresponding book. It's good to keep in mind that purple and yellow do not come into play until later rounds. Step 5, get in place player components. Each player will choose a color and get the corresponding player board, flask tile, rat marker, droplet marker, score marker, and seal. Then get a bag, 1 ruby, and starting chips. The starting chips are 4 white 1 chips, 2 white 2 chips, 1 white 3 chip, 1 green 1 chip, and 1 orange 1 chip. The whites are your cherry bombs. Then you'll place the player board in the center of your player area with the player aid side up. Place your flask in the bottom right corner of your player board on the full side. The rat marker will go to the left of the flask. Your ruby will go on the pouch on the player board. The droplet marker will go in the center of your player board on 0. The ingredient chips or starting chips will go in your bag. And the seal will go on the main board with the scoring marker on top. Now let's take a look at the gameplay. A game consists of 9 turns or rounds. A turn or round consists of 4 phases: the fortune phase, the potion phase, the evaluation phase, and turn advance phase. Now let's look at each in detail. The fortune phase. Draw the top fortune card, read it, and place it next to the main board. The purple background cards happen immediately. The blue background cards last a whole turn or round, or occur at the end of the turn or round. In this case, the fortune does not affect any player. Then we would move to the potions phase. Everyone will draw chips from their bag to place in their potion. Depending on the number of chip, you place it that many spaces away from the last chip or droplet. After placing the chip, check for chip actions. If not, white, orange, black, green, or purple. Then decide if you want to stop or continue to draw. If your white chip total or cherry bomb total is greater than 7, the pot would explode and you must stop. If it explodes, you would not be able to gain a bonus, and you would only be able to gain either victory points or the money to spend. Keep in mind that if you have a full flask, you may flip it over and use it to put the last chip back in your bag if it was a white chip. You cannot use this ability if your pot has already exploded. Once everyone has chosen to stop, or their pot explodes, we move to the evaluation phase. So in this case, everyone stopped at the same place before their pot exploded. The evaluation phase. The evaluation phase is indicated on the main board. There are 6 steps to the evaluation phase. Step 1, roll the bonus die. If your pot did not explode and you reach the highest level, you roll the die and gain the bonus. So in this case, all 3 players reached the same level and their pot did not explode, so they would all 3 roll the bonus die. Step 2, chip actions. For green, purple, and black chips, follow the directions on the book, and if you have any in your pot, you may be able to take their actions. Step 3, rubies. Check your scoring space, or the space next to your last chip, and if a ruby is depicted, you would gain a ruby. So in this case, the scoring space for all of the players is 9, and they would all three gain a ruby. Step 4, victory points. You would check your scoring space and gain this many victory points. If your pot exploded, you would either gain the victory points or money. So in this case, all three of the players would gain 1 victory point. Step 5, buy chips. Check your scoring space, and this is the amount that you are allowed to spend on chips. So in this case, all three of our players were able to spend 9 on chips. The cost of each chip is located on the book on the left side under the chips. Step 6, end of phase. This is where you would pay rubies to gain effects. You would pay 2 rubies to move your droplet 1 space. This would allow you to start your potion further along the track. Or you may pay 2 rubies to fill your flask. If you have used your flask, you may fill it up by paying the 2 rubies. Then you would put your rat marker next to your flask and place chips back into the bag. And then we move to turn advance phase. The turn marker advances 1 and you would check for effects. Possible effects are the yellow and purple becoming available, gaining 1 white chip, and then for the last round or turn, players must pull chips from their bag simultaneously for each chip, or not pulling from their bag when they choose to stop. Then players would gain 1 victory point for 2 rubies, or 5 in money. Once the 9th turn or round is over, the player with the most victory points is the most successful quack and wins Quacks of Quedlinburg.